Let's talk about the first pillar, your mouth. Most people underestimate the power of words. They think speech is casual, just a means of communication. But if you look closer, you'll see that words are like seeds. Once spoken, they grow into outcomes, good or bad. Think about it. Every relationship you've built or destroyed, every opportunity you've gained or lost, almost always started with words. The words you chose to say, or the words you failed to say. This is why controlling your mouth is not just about avoiding trouble, it's about consciously shaping your future. I've met countless people who were talented, capable, and ambitious, yet their lack of control over their tongue kept them stuck. They reacted too quickly, spoke without thinking, or let anger dictate their responses. And once those words left their mouth, there was no way to take them back. Words can apologize, but they can never fully erase the memory they create. That's the psychological trap. Your brain may move on, but the other person's heart doesn't forget so easily. And in business, in leadership, even in friendships, one careless statement can set you back years. If you observe successful people, you'll notice they choose their words carefully, not because they're fake, but because they understand the weight of language. They know words are tools, and just like tools, they can build or destroy depending on how you use them. The best leaders in history were not necessarily the richest or strongest. They were the ones who mastered the art of speech. They could move nations, inspire armies, and heal broken spirits simply through their words. And you don't have to be a politician or a CEO to apply this. You just need to realize that every conversation in your daily life is a negotiation for respect, trust, and influence. Now, controlling your mouth doesn't mean being silent all the time. It means being intentional. It means asking yourself, does what I'm about to say add value? Does it move the situation forward, or am I just feeding my ego? Most people speak to be heard. Few speak to create impact. And here's where self-mastery comes in. When you learn to pause before speaking, you give yourself the power of perspective. That pause is not weakness. It's wisdom. Because in that small gap between impulse and expression, you decide whether you are the master of your tongue or its slave. You'll also find that people who control their mouths gain trust faster. Why? Because others feel safe around them. Nobody trusts a person who speaks recklessly. But when you choose your words carefully, people know you won't betray, humiliate, or mislead them. That trust becomes your greatest currency, more valuable than money, more enduring than power. So, the next time you feel tempted to speak out of anger, pride, or impulse, remember this. One word can close a deal, and one word can kill a deal. One sentence can heal a heart, and one sentence can scar it forever. Control your mouth, and you control the doors of your destiny. The mouth is small, but its power is infinite. Use it wisely, or it will use you. Silence is one of the most misunderstood powers in human behavior. People often mistake silence for weakness, as if not responding means surrendering. But the truth is, silence is often the loudest voice in the room. It carries weight because it reflects control, restraint, and presence. When you choose silence in moments of conflict, insult, or provocation, you are not running away. You are mastering yourself. And self-mastery is far greater than winning an argument. Think about the times in your life when you spoke too quickly. You reacted, you defended yourself, maybe you even lashed out. In that moment, you might have felt powerful, as if you won the exchange. But later, what followed? Regret. That's because words spoken in heat rarely reflect wisdom, they reflect impulse. Now contrast that with the times when you held back, when you let silence speak for you. Often, you discovered later that silence protected your dignity far more than words could. This is the hidden value of restraint. It saves you from battles that don't deserve your energy. There's also a psychological depth to silence. Human beings are uncomfortable with it. When you remain quiet, the other person often reveals more than they intended. Negotiators use this all the time. Silence creates pressure, and in that pressure, truth spills out. Leaders use silence to command respect, because when a leader pauses instead of rushing to respond, it signals authority and calmness. Even in friendships and families, silence has the power to diffuse anger. Where words escalate tension, silence often softens it. But silence is not about suppressing yourself. It's about timing. There are moments when silence protects you, and there are moments when your words must be heard. The wisdom lies in knowing the difference. If your words can create clarity, speak them. If your words are only to satisfy your pride, hold them back. Many people talk because they fear being forgotten. But ironically, the one who speaks less is often remembered more. Why? Because when they finally do speak, their words carry weight. Scarcity creates value even in speech. On a deeper level, silence is also about inner peace. If you cannot be silent with yourself, you cannot be at peace with others. The ability to sit quietly without the need to explain, justify, or prove anything is one of the highest forms of strength. It means you no longer seek validation through noise. You've found validation in clarity, and that kind of power cannot be taken from you because it doesn't depend on anyone else. So the next time you feel the urge to prove yourself in every conversation, ask this simple question. Is my silence more powerful right now than my words? Most of the time the answer will be yes. Remember this, silence is not emptiness. It is energy contained. When you learn to master it, you don't lose influence, you multiply it. Silence, used wisely, is not weakness. It is your greatest strength. Now let's talk about mood. Something so simple yet so powerful that it can either drive your success or quietly destroy it. Most people live as prisoners of their moods. If they feel good, they perform well. If they feel bad, everything falls apart. They wake up happy one day, they're motivated. They wake up upset the next day, they're useless. This is the tragedy of emotional slavery. If your mood controls you, then you're not really living your own life. You're just reacting to it. Successful people, on the other hand, learn emotional discipline. They understand that moods are temporary, but decisions create permanence. Imagine a leader who makes decisions based on anger or sadness. Chaos is guaranteed. Imagine a parent raising children while being controlled by mood swings. The family becomes unstable. Now imagine you building a career, a business, or even just a reputation. If your performance is tied to whether you feel like it today, then you will never be consistent. And without consistency, success is impossible. Psychologically, moods are signals, not commands. They tell you something about how you feel in the moment, but they don't determine who you are or what you should do. Just because you feel discouraged doesn't mean you're failing. Just because you feel angry doesn't mean you have to explode. The difference between average people and great achievers is that achievers recognize the mood but don't surrender to it. They can feel sadness and still push forward. They can feel fear and still act with courage. They don't deny their emotions, but they don't let emotions dictate the outcome. One way to discipline your mood is to separate feelings from actions. You can feel tired but still take the next step. You can feel unmotivated but still complete the task. This is where discipline becomes more valuable than motivation. Motivation depends on mood. Discipline ignores it. And once you act despite your mood, something powerful happens. Your mood begins to change in response to your actions. Action creates momentum, and momentum generates positive emotion. In other words, don't wait to feel good to act, and you will feel good. We should also understand that other people feed off our moods. When you walk into a room with negative energy, people sense it, and it affects how they respond to you. But when you carry calmness and steadiness, you bring stability. That's why leaders, teachers, and even parents must learn to master their moods. People don't just follow your words, they absorb your energy. If your mood is unstable, your influence becomes unstable too. So the next time your mood threatens to control your actions, pause and remind yourself, my feelings are real, but they are not the driver. I am the driver. That shift in perspective alone can prevent you from making emotional decisions that you'll regret later. Because in the end, mood is a visitor. It comes and goes, but the choices you make while under its influence can stay with you for a lifetime. Control your mood, or your mood will control the quality of your life. Pain is something no one can escape. It comes in many forms: failure, betrayal, rejection, loss. Most people see pain as an enemy, something to avoid at all costs. But here's the truth: pain is not the enemy, it's the teacher. The difference between those who succeed and those who remain stuck is not whether they experience pain. Everyone does. The difference is in how they respond to it. Some allow pain to break them, while others transform that same pain into strength. If you look at the stories of the greatest achievers in history, you'll notice a common thread. They didn't rise because their path was smooth. They rose because their pain became fuel. Think about an entrepreneur whose company failed. One person may give up, conclude that they're not meant for business and retreat into safety. Another person, facing the exact same failure, studies the lessons, strengthens their character, and builds something greater the next time. The pain didn't disappear, but it was redirected into power. Psychologically, pain sharpens awareness. It forces you to confront reality without illusions. When everything is comfortable, people grow lazy, careless, and entitled. But when pain arrives, it wakes you up. It tells you something must change. And if you have the courage to listen, that pain becomes a compass pointing toward growth. Without pain, discipline feels unnecessary. Without pain, change feels optional. But pain has a way of making change urgent. And that urgency can transform your life if you choose to act on it. Philosophically, we can say that pain is the price of transformation. A seed must crack before it becomes a tree. Muscles must tear before they grow stronger. In the same way, our character must endure discomfort before it matures. The problem is that most people spend their lives running from pain, looking for shortcuts, distractions, or escapes. But escaping pain never works, it only delays growth. The real power lies in facing pain, asking, what is this teaching me? How can I turn this into strength? That mindset transforms pain from an enemy into a silent partner in your success. In daily life, this could be as simple as using criticism to improve instead of feeling insulted. It could mean using rejection as motivation to sharpen your skills instead of shrinking in insecurity. It could mean treating financial hardship as training in discipline instead of proof of failure. Every painful moment can either weaken you or strengthen you depending on the story you tell yourself about it. So the next time life hurts, and it will, don't ask why me. Ask instead what now, what can I build from this? Because once you understand that pain is not here to stop you but to shape you, you stop fearing it. You start using it, and here is the reflection to take with you. Pain is inevitable, but weakness is optional. If you choose to turn your pain into power, no setback can ever truly defeat you. Let's turn to money, because this is where many intelligent people lose control. Money is one of the most powerful forces in our lives, but also one of the most misunderstood. Most people don't control money. Money controls them. It dictates their choices, their relationships, even their emotions. When they have it, they feel powerful. When they lose it, they feel worthless. But that's the trap. Money is not meant to be your master. It's meant to be your servant. If you don't learn to control it, you'll spend your entire life working for it, instead of letting it work for you. When you look closely, money is nothing more than a tool. Like fire, it can cook your food or burn down your house. The value lies not in the tool itself, but in how you use it. Yet so many people chase money blindly, believing that the more they have, the more fulfilled they'll feel. But history proves otherwise. Plenty of wealthy people are miserable because they never learned discipline. They knew how to make money, but they never learned how to manage it. On the other hand, people with modest incomes but wise financial habits live with more freedom and peace than millionaires drowning in debt. The psychology of money is fascinating because it exposes human nature. Why do people spend recklessly to impress others? Why do they borrow beyond their means? Because money is tied to ego. They want to look rich rather than be rich. They want applause today instead of security tomorrow. But here's the truth. Every dollar you spend is either building your future or stealing it. Every purchase is either an investment or a distraction. If you can control this impulse, this need to prove yourself through possessions, you gain a level of freedom most people will never experience. Financial discipline is not about being cheap, it's about being intentional. It means telling your money where to go instead of wondering where it went. It means saving before spending, investing before showing off. It means delaying gratification because you understand that long-term stability is worth more than short-term applause. And once you develop this mindset, money stops being a source of stress and becomes a source of opportunity. Look at it this way, money gives you options and options give you freedom. When you control money, you're not forced into jobs you hate, or relationships you can't leave, or decisions that go against your values. You operate from choice, not desperation. That's the true power of financial discipline. It doesn't just build wealth, it builds independence. So the question you must ask yourself is simple. Are you working for money, or is your money working for you? Because one path leads to lifelong stress, and the other leads to lifelong freedom. And here's the truth to carry with you. Money itself has no power. Your discipline gives it power. Control it, or it will control you. One of the greatest financial traps people fall in, too, is the need to impress. The desire to look wealthy is often the very thing that keeps people from becoming truly wealthy. Think about it. How many people buy things they don't need, with money they don't really have, just to show others a lifestyle they can't actually afford? They sacrifice their future security just to earn temporary approval. That's not wealth. That's slavery to other people's opinions. True financial wisdom begins when you realize that money is not for showing off, it's for building foundations. You don't get rich by wearing expensive clothes or driving flashy cars. You get rich by creating assets that generate value even when you're not working. The irony is that the loudest displays of wealth often come from people who are most insecure about their financial reality. Real wealth is quiet. It's the person who doesn't need to announce their success because their lifestyle, their choices, and their peace of mind speak louder than any luxury brand ever could. If you study financially independent people, you'll notice a pattern. They spend less time impressing others and more time investing in themselves. Instead of buying the latest phone every year, they buy stocks, real estate, or skills that increase their earning power. Instead of posting pictures of luxury dinners, they quietly reinvest their profits back into their businesses. The lesson is simple. Money spent on appearances disappears. Money spent on assets multiplies. Psychologically, the urge to impress comes from insecurity. People fear being judged as less than, so they cover that fear with symbols of status. But the people you're trying to impress rarely care as much as you think. And even if they do notice, their approval is fleeting. Meanwhile, your financial future has been damaged for the sake of a moment's applause. Isn't it strange that people will risk their long-term stability for strangers' short-term validation? Philosophically, this is about values. Do you value how others see you more than how secure you truly are? Do you care more about the illusion of wealth than actual freedom? If your answer leans toward appearances, then no matter how much money you make, you'll always feel poor. But if you value assets over impressions, then even if you start small, your discipline will compound into true independence. So the next time you're tempted to buy something just to prove your status, pause and ask yourself, does this purchase grow me, or does it just show me? That simple question can save you years of financial regret, because every dollar you waste on impressing others is a dollar that could have been invested in creating real freedom for yourself. And remember this, wealth whispers, ego shouts. If you want to be truly rich, build assets, not impressions. The greatest battlefield you will ever face is not outside. It's inside your own mind. Wars, competition, even challenges in business or relationships all begin with a battle within. If you lose in your mind, you've already lost before you even take action. But if you win in your mind, there is nothing outside that can truly defeat you. The problem is, most people don't protect their mind. They allow negativity, doubt, and fear to take root until those thoughts dictate their actions. Think about how powerful your mind is. Every invention, every company, every breakthrough in history started as a thought. A single idea, nurtured with belief and discipline, becomes something that changes the world. But the same mind that can create miracles can also create misery if left uncontrolled. If your mind constantly tells you, "I can't, I'm not ready, I will fail," then you'll live out that prophecy. The mind shapes reality long before reality appears. Psychologically, this happens because the brain works like a filter. What you focus on expands. If you feed your mind fear, you'll see fear everywhere. If you feed it possibility, you'll start noticing opportunities others miss. This is why controlling your thoughts is not optional. It's essential. Your mind is like fertile soil. Plant weeds, and weeds will grow. Plant strong seeds, and you'll harvest strong results. But you can't blame the soil if you're careless about what you plant. One of the most dangerous habits is allowing external voices to dominate your internal voice. Social media, gossip, criticism, these things can poison your mind if you don't guard it. Successful people create mental discipline. They filter what enters their head because they know that one negative idea can multiply into doubt, hesitation, and failure. Protecting your mind is like protecting a kingdom. If you leave the gates open, any enemy can walk in. Philosophically, the mind is both your prison and your freedom. The chains you feel in life often exist only in your head. When you believe you can't, you stop trying. When you believe you're not worthy, you stop reaching. And when you believe success is impossible, you stop preparing for it. But the moment you change your thoughts, you change your life. That's why people who master their minds live on a different level. They see challenges as puzzles, not threats. They see setbacks as detours, not dead ends. So the next time your mind tells you you're not enough, pause and challenge that thought. Ask yourself, is this the truth or is this fear talking? And more often than not, it's fear disguised as truth. And fear only has power if you obey it. Never forget this. Your mind is your strongest weapon or your greatest weakness. Win inside first, and no outside force can truly defeat you. When you step back and connect all these principles, controlling your mouth, your mood, your money, and your mind, you begin to see the bigger picture. Self-mastery is not about controlling the outside world. It's about controlling the world within you. And once you gain control of yourself, the outside world starts to bend in your favor. People respect you more, opportunities open up, and life stops feeling like chaos because you've built order inside yourself first. Think about it. A person who controls their mouth earns trust. A person who controls their mood earns respect. A person who controls their money earns freedom, and a person who controls their mind earns power. Put these together and you become unstoppable, not because life gets easier, but because you get stronger. Most people want to change their circumstances, but they don't want to change themselves. They blame the economy, the government, their family, their luck. But the truth is, the biggest enemy they've never conquered is themselves. Philosophers for centuries have pointed to this truth. He who conquers himself is greater than he who conquers 1,000 battles. External victories are temporary. Today you win, tomorrow you lose. But inner victories last forever. If you know how to stay calm under pressure, no situation can destroy you. If you know how to think clearly in chaos, no problem can trap you. If you know how to manage your resources wisely, no storm can bankrupt you. And if you know how to discipline your tongue, no conflict can silence your influence. Psychologically, human beings crave control, but most of them seek it in the wrong place. They try to control other people, their environment, or outcomes that are not in their hands. This only leads to frustration. The real control, The only control you truly have is over yourself. When you exercise that control, you discover a paradox. By mastering yourself, you indirectly begin to influence everything around you. People listen to you, they follow you, they trust you, not because you demand it, but because your self-mastery radiates strength. This is why self-mastery is not selfish, it's leadership. When you control yourself, you set an example. You show others what discipline looks like, what calmness looks like, what true success looks like, and that influence is far more powerful than any position or title. People don't remember bosses, they remember leaders. And leaders are simply people who first learn to lead themselves. So when you ask, how do I control the world? The answer is simple, you don't. You control yourself, and the world responds. That's the secret. That's the path, and here is the closing truth to reflect on. Master your mouth, your mood, your money, and your mind, and you will master your destiny, because the one who controls himself controls the world.